Good evening. Coming to you from my Madre's house. I'm sitting here with my grandma and one of my mom's friends. My mom and dad went on a cruise, so they left town early this morning. And I told her I'd just come over and, sit with the house and make sure everything was okay, at least for the first day while they were gone. You guys ignore this ugly pimple because I know I'm going to be staring at it the whole video. But I wanted to hop on here. Something was on my mind, and I really wanted, I guess, to share it, get it out in the open, make a video, I guess. Share the questions on this topic. And the question is, how long do you guys think that you should be sober or be clean and be in a facility, whatever the case may be, on your sober journey? How long do you guys think that it's acceptable for you to be on that journey before you are allowed to start dating? It's a easily argued on topic, and I know that when I was in my treatment center, we were allowed to date, but you had to date after a year. You couldn't say hi and bye to the opposite sex unless they had the same amount of time as you. And that had to be, both of you had to have 6 months in the program before you were allowed to do that. If you got caught looking at each other for more than 3 seconds, it was considered giving each other the googly eyes, and you got in trouble for that. You were reprimanded. You were given consequences for doing that. So I guess it just piques my interest because I've talked to several of my friends, several people, and I don't have anybody in particular in mind at all when I'm asking this, but I do know that it is a fairly, it's a convenient thing for addicts like us to want to focus on something different when we get early in recovery. So it's so incredibly easy to distract ourselves with the thought or an idea of another person, a new love of our life, per se. So I wanted, I guess, to talk about that. If anybody cares to know my input on it, I feel like it is very much needed that for anybody struggling in addiction, that whether you used with the person that you like or that you love or whatever, whether you guys use together or not, I feel like if you're trying to find sobriety, you need to leave those people, places, and things. So if you're going to leave your friends behind, you're probably going to have to leave those old relationships behind too, even though they're intimate. It's not always easy, and it's really not ever fun, but if you do that, you allow yourself all these different opportunities to grow, to learn yourself better, and find out what you want, because if you're so fresh and early in recovery, you don't even know you, right? You don't even know who you are yet. I know for me, I couldn't even tell you anything I liked. My favorite song, my favorite music, my favorite color. I didn't know any of that crap. I had to relearn it totally, and really relearn it and make sure it was something that I actually liked myself and not something that I had learned from somebody else. And that took a long time. I mean, it took a long time for me to be able to do that. So I think when we're early in recovery, we don't really need all those other distractions of a significant other right then. You really just need to spend time on you and try to mend those broken relationships with family, the blood ties that you have, or the people who are like blood. They don't have to be blood. It's not that strict of a rule, but somebody who's not just trying to give you fluff and build your ego, really take that time to work on you, work on self, find out what you like and love, find out what you dislike, find out things about your kids if you have them, or your parent, whoever you grew distant with or became distant with because of your addiction. Get those relationships back first before you start trying to depend on something else. But the main reason I want to talk about that is because this is the reason why that's so important too. You're so fresh until probably, like, I would say a year, maybe even more, a year and a half ish. You're so fresh in your recovery that you're easily influenced also. So say you create this bond with this person who you love dearly, it's a new love. You've never been sober before and in love. So you create this bond with this person and say that they fall short of their promises. They're not strong in their recovery. They get high. Well, now they have that around you. So say that you're not strong enough yet in your recovery to get yourself away from that. You want to respect this bond and you want to hold on to it. You've built it, right? What happens then? Those are one of the key reasons why I believe that people say that we shouldn't date in early recovery. It's just to keep yourself safe. It's to keep yourself on top of your game. It's to make sure that you are truly serving yourself in this whole operation. Nobody ever says there's something wrong with dating, and nobody expects you to be sober. I mean, oh my gosh, single for the rest of your sober journey. That's kind of unethical at this point, I think, in day and time. But just be wise about it. Be very, very wise and selective of who you're allowing in your personal space, your little love triangle, because that's the person who's rubbing off on you most. Influence, bad or good, the people you spend most of your time with is going to be the biggest influences in your life. So make sure that you're so selective when you're picking those, and make sure that you're strong enough to stand up to them when they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. That way you don't fall short in your recovery, and you don't follow their lead. If they go down the rabbit hole again, you don't want to follow them. You want to make sure your bond with yourself and all that work you put into yourself is strong enough so that if they don't make it with you, that at the end of the day, you can cut that tie and keep your sobriety and keep it hot. I've seen so many people fall short because of that. And I'm not saying that I would never be one of those people, but that was one of the biggest things I worked on when I got to TROSA, because I knew that I'm easily influenced already anyway, but I knew I needed to find my own voice, find what Beverly stood for, find the beat that I moved to, because before I got sober, I didn't have that. I couldn't tell you any of that. I just knew there were some things that were just a big hell no, but other than that, pretty much anything went with me. I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't have a preference of anything besides heroin or meth. That was it. And I didn't even really have a preference over that, because I don't like uppers, and I did ice every single day like it was going out of style if I didn't have any heroin. So, no preference there. So I think that, I know that's a random topic, but I see that so much, and I used to hate it when TROSA would tell me that, but until I actually worked on myself and figured out that I'm a bad bitch even without a man, that until I figured that out, I struggled a lot with my identity of self. So, it's so freeing once you can get past that, though, and feel like you don't have to have somebody to validate you anymore. When you can finally validate yourself and know that you're worthy of every compliment you receive, and that you really don't have to have a compliment, but you learn to appreciate them in a whole new light. I think that finding yourself and giving yourself that grace and that alone time of really being single, I think that is such a beautiful thing. And I think that people in addiction don't ever do that for themselves. We cling to anybody, somebody, something. We have those rotten, disgusting, unhealthy ties with all these people, and we, especially when we get clean, we cling to those. We think about those people, we remember that, and we really hold validation to that friendship, even though that's not what it ever was. So take that same energy into your new life of recovery and put it into somebody worth it. Put it into a friendship that is gonna thrive and blossom and water you, not drain you or poison the fruit you're trying to bear. Put active actions into making your circle of friends or boyfriends and girlfriends, significant others, whatever. Force that to be a strong connection, a strong outlet for you. You get to pick who those people are. And if they cross that line even one time, snip it. You got to cut it, because you can't trust somebody to keep shitting on you and you eventually not fall into the same patterns as them, right? So it's an everyday action. You have to be very mindful of who you allow in your circle, who you allow around you, the things in the places that you go to. Even, recently, several times I've had people who have passed away, and I'm speaking for me personally, nobody else. This is my own reasons. I've wanted so bad to go to the funerals and go to the wakes, or go be there and support the family, do something, just show that I cared and that I was one of those genuine people in my addiction. I still cared about their loved one. But it took me a while to realize that, Beverly, you can't do that. That's you're testing yourself. You're putting yourself in those dangerous positions no matter what it is. Say that I feel like I'm going to a wake, right? I think I'm going to a wake. And then I go to meet somebody, or I see somebody there, and they come up to me and we're upset, and we go to have a cigarette or something, or lunch or whatever after we leave, and it just turns into something more than that. And next thing you know, I'm at their house with my arm tied up and a needle in it. I think about shit like that so far in advance, to the point that I'm not going to allow myself to slip up and be in that position. I think about those what ifs. I think about the crazy parts of, everybody else says, oh, I'm stronger than that. I don't believe that I am. I know I'm strong, but I don't feel like I'm stronger than my addiction. My addiction's got me by the balls 24/7. And the second that I act like it doesn't, I've already screwed up. So I don't test that shit at all. At all. I might, I will make arrangements to get you help if you need it, and I will find help the best that I can, but I'm not going to be all up in your shit and in person dealing with you, because we're not walking the same walks of life anymore. Why would I? And I have to remind myself of that. Just because I want to reach out to somebody and be that genuine friend, there's other ways that I can do that and that I need to do that in order to keep myself safe and keep myself in my sobriety, because at the end of the day, showing somebody else that I care about them and that I love them, even though they're in a shitty situation, putting myself in a shitty situation and testing my own limits just to do that really doesn't make too much sense. So that's not me anymore. I can't allow myself to be that person. And I think that a lot of people do that. We find weakness in that because we don't want to be seen as a traitor, or, we're better than you because we got clean now and we can associate. That is not at all the case. At all. I still love all of the people that I was down in the trenches with. And I say in the trenches because I was in some nasty, rotten, dirty, disgusting places. And I was content there. And the people that I was down in those dirty places with, I still remember them. I remember how they treated me. And most of them did treat me okay. If we were in the same position, they looked out the best they could. I know the name of the game and what I was involved in. So no, it's not like anybody was going to ever break their backs to take care of Beverly, but I did come across some good people. I had some decent friends for the type of situation that I was in, and I still think about them daily now that I've gotten my life better, because they haven't. Not all of them have. Some of them have, but a lot of them haven't. And the biggest thing that I see a lot of people, the biggest telltale sign that you could tell somebody's doing what they're not supposed to be doing again, is by the crowd they allow around them. So if I were to be walking the walk and talking the talk, I'm not about to have my old dope man on speed dial, or, my biggest contact that I hang out with every Saturday night, because eventually I'm going to be ending up buying dope from him. So, I got to just lead by example and keep myself in that role, versus bringing myself back down to where I was at to lead that way. That's not the way that I want to lead. I want to keep my sobriety. The only way I can lead and give back is that if I am clear-minded and I have my eyes on the prize. And that's always going to remain, that I have to be sober to do that. I have to keep moving forward. I hate that there's people that I've had to leave behind, but until they're ready, I got to keep doing me, So I just think that a lot of us probably need that reminder, don't, addiction is cunning, it's baffling, it's deceiving, it's disgusting, it's a liar, and it will make you feel like you're healed, and make you feel like you're better, and it will tease you and put you in situations that you never thought that you would be in. You didn't see them coming, and it's all because you didn't think things out and you didn't look in advance. Stop looking in the rearview mirror, but you need to have that mirror turned the other way. You need to have such foresight ahead of you that you can see shit coming a mile away, so that you can beat it off with a stick. You got to have your little bubble safe in front of you, and if you see any intruders coming, take them fuckers out. It's plain and simple. You just got to watch shit, look and accept shit for what it is when you see it. Stop letting people lie to you and fool you and tell you they're doing good when you see track marks on their arms, and then you go hang out with them, and before you know it, you're fucking knotted out in your own lap wondering how you got here, because you trust people and not yourself. Trust your gut. Trust the people who have proven to you that they are on your side and they want you to do good. So I don't know why I rambled for 20 minutes about this topic, but this is what hit me tonight. So it was just a conversation that kind of like brushing up on a conversation that I was having with one of my friends. And I just really, it made me think, oh my God, a lot of people struggle with this. I struggled with this, it used to bug the shit out of me that I didn't understand why I was having to change all these things about me. But bitch, you were doing everything wrong. That's why. Everything you do is wrong. So to fix that, to take away those old behaviors and create new ones, you got to stop doing the old ones first. So, I had to stop self-sabotaging myself with having all these old people around when I'm trying to move forward and change. If you want to change, set the tone and get to it. There's plenty of good influences in the world and that are around you encouraging you to do good, but you have to reach out to those people and use those as what they are. Use them as a source of encouragement and hope, and not reaching out to those bad outlets when you really just need that good encouragement right then. Decide where you want to go and go there. I had, I think, 14 months in the program at TROSA, and I took a class, RBT and DBT, and it really had me, we had to make a list of where we seen ourselves in 5 years, small-term goals and long-term goals. And I wrote down 5 goals that I wanted to achieve from that time until 5 years from now. And I think it's been 5 years, and it may not have been quite 5 years yet. But regardless, I wrote down those goals and the things that it would take for me to get them. And then I did it. I put action into that. I put actions behind that. But I did it as like a little checklist. I did one by one. And then once I would do one, I would work on the other one. I didn't want to overwhelm myself. But, there was a lot of things on there that I had to get to for my checklist to be completed. And then once I did, I looked back and I was like, oh, holy shit. I've actually came this far with everything. That's crazy. Everything I said I wanted to do, I have done. So then at that point, I really didn't have anything to look back and be bitter about. What am I going to be upset about? Now everything I was beating myself up before I went to a treatment center for not having, now I have it. So there's no excuse for me to go back and buy that bag of dope and start sulking in my shit. I got to be a big girl and put my panties on and move forward with my life. So that's when I had to make 5 more goals that I wanted to achieve that would go in line with those and just help me keep moving forward. So none of them, by the way, involved hanging out with any of my old crowd. So that was why that came up. None of them involved really having a man in my life either at the time, because I needed that break and I needed to learn about Beverly. I will admit, even when I started dating in TROSA, I felt like I started dating way too early, and I had to wait 13 months for that, and I really only wanted that for one thing. You had to get permission to do the hanky-panky. So I was trying to get some hanky-panky, I ain't gonna lie. And then, we just got stuck with each other, I think. So, still, I almost got into yet another relationship again that I didn't put any energy or effort into, that I wasn't trying to, find out what I liked or anything. I was just going with the same motions. So, it's very forced. You have to make yourself do it. It's a subconscious thing that you have to, focus on it and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It doesn't come easy. And every time you're faced with meeting somebody new, you're probably going to have to tell yourself to leave them the hell alone, because you're trying to focus on you right now, right? So that don't mean you can't get no hanky-panky either, but you better be a strong-ass individual to know that that's all you getting, and they need to leave when you're done. So, and be smart, because people are gross nowadays, you know? Wrap that shit up. Can't just be hopping in bed with anybody. Get some shit Ajax don't take off. Shit's real. But, you know, just be mindful of where you want to go and where you're at, and put actions into doing it. You have the pen, write the story. So, I hope everybody has a good night. Thanks for watching.